to be in the video? You like the lights? Yeah? Okay, go lay down. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Knit California podcast. My name is Leslie. I am Knit California here on YouTube and also over on Instagram and TikTok, and this is episode 37. We're back today with another regular podcast episode. Thank you so much for all of the love on my last two videos. If you missed it, last week I posted my raglan comparison video. A very, very long awaited video, I think. I had started talking about that project back when I did my fall and winter knitting plans in like September. And we made it. We finally made it to the end, and I finally got you that video. So thank you for all the love on that. And my previous video before that was my ranunculus finished object video that now has 4,000 views. It's my highest viewed video on the channel. So again, if you watched that, thank you so much. It's crazy. Just thank you. So today we're back. I actually don't have any finished objects today. I've got a couple whips, kind of an interesting story about my test knit that I'm working on, a couple acquisitions, and that's it. I'm thinking today will be a little bit of a shorter episode. So I wanted to start with what I'm wearing. This is my Soufflé tee by Penrose Knits, Laura Penrose, and the yarn that I used for this is Lang Lace Mohair. This was the colorway Hot Pink, I think. Probably, it's Hot Pink. I knit this about a year ago. This was my very first test knit, and what an interesting saga this was. I actually wore this also on my very first podcast episode. We're almost coming up on my 1-year YouTube anniversary. That's coming up in May, so that's kind of exciting as well. But I don't need to go into too much of the details about it. I knit the short sleeve version. It's a fully mohair top. This top part here is knit in one strand, and then you've got the fluffy little ruffle that I love this detail, and then the sleeves and the bottom portion down here is knit in 2 strands held together. So it's not like super see-through, although I think with the light shining on me, like, you can see my bra straps, but like, whatever, guys, just everybody wears a bra, right? Okay. Let's talk about my current whips, and we're gonna start with my test knit because that's probably the most interesting thing that I've got on the needles, and got some news about it. Hold on. Okay. I have been keeping all of my whips in my Black Pearl Magic bag. Absolutely love this bag. It was just a second ago full of all of my projects, but I have taken them out so that I could get to my test knit. So what I'm making is called the Helianthus tank by Andrea Gaughan. I asked her how to pronounce her name, and it's like Vaughn, but with a G, so Gaughan. Andrea Gaughan. Okay? This is what we have so far. It's looking really, really good. I'm absolutely in love with these colors. This is a bottom-up tank top design that I'm test knitting, and you start with this twisted rib down here at the bottom. And then I'm doing the striped version, obviously. There's also a version, well, it's the same pattern, but you can do it striped or you can do it in a solid color. And it's looking great. However, I have an issue with it. This shouldn't be a surprise. Oh, let me tell you first, the yarn that I'm using is Quince & Co. Sparrow, which is their 100% linen base, and the 3 colors are Lunar, it's the white, Paprika is the reddish orange, and the purple is called Viburnum. I love this one, it's so pretty. So the sample that Andrea knit this up in is knit in Ritual Dye's Undine yarn, which is a cotton and linen blend. I had this linen in my stash that I really wanted to try. I thought this would be great with the stripes. I was right. However, I have never knit with 100% linen yarn before, and so I did swatch. And my swatch came out pretty close to gauge. The gauge on this is 28 stitches per 4 inches. My swatch was like 27-ish, and I was like, this should be fine. Well, as I'm knitting this, now that I've gotten to like this point, I realized that this is not fine. The properties of this linen yarn are just very, very different from anything that I've ever knit before. Basically, you know, 100% merino wool, superwash wool, wool nylon blends. Like, it's very different, and I should have expected that. And I should have been a little bit more careful, but I wasn't. And so now that I've measured this, the gauge that I'm actually getting is 24 stitches per 4 inches. And 24 stitches versus 28 stitches is too far off. So if I was just knitting this for myself, I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't be bothered at all. I would just say, oh well, and I would keep going, and it would end up a little bit oversized because this is measuring right now. The width of it is measuring at, let's see, I wrote this all down in my notebook, that's what I'm looking at. It's measuring out at 23.75 inches, so times 2 is 47.5 inches. This pattern is meant to have a 0 to -2 inches ease, so negative ease, and right now I'm at 7.5 inches of positive ease, so not what we were going for. So I have made the decision to put this on hold. I couldn't bring myself to rip out this amount of work, and because I am doing stripes, I've been cutting my yarn. Can you see this amazing, all these ends that I'm gonna have to weave in eventually? So if I started over, I think I was just worried about starting over and like wasting yarn. I don't know. So anyways, so I'm not starting over on this. I'm going to put this on pause and hopefully come back to it and finish it later at the gauge that it's currently at. Just keep going with it. It'll still be a really cute summer top. So but I have started over in a different yarn. Let me just show you too. I'm using a twice sheared sheep cable lock to keep all of this on my cord. Hopefully I won't need this cord for another cast on. You never know, I might end up putting this on like stretchy cords or something, but these cable locks are really nice to use just to like keep your stitches from falling off the needles. So I have started over with this, which is actually this. So this is Pearl Soho Linen Quill in the colorway Rhubarb Pink. This is a 50% fine Highland wool, 35% alpaca, and 15% linen. So I have not worked with this base before, but because of the 50% wool content, I do think it'll be more similar to what I've worked with in the past. And just from like the feel of it, I know that that'll be true. So I re-swatched, although I ripped out the swatch so I don't have it, and I have recast on. This one is just going to be a solid color, but I am hoping and praying that it will be on gauge and I can knit this up quickly, make sure that I've, am being a good tester, and doing everything that I need to do. So I had to do that. Had to do that cast on again. That was really, it's not that it was tough. I just think that like knitting a bottom up with really small needles, like casting on this number of stitches, is just kind of a pain. It's way easier when you cast on at the neckline and it's like way smaller. It just, takes less time. So that's where we're at with this test knit. The deadline is towards the end of May, so I do believe I have enough time to get this done, even though I'm restarting this towards the end of April now. It's April 21st. I started this yesterday, April 20th, so I should have enough time to get it done. And yeah, hopefully it'll just, once I get to the stockinette, hopefully it'll just fly, especially because I'm not doing stripes, so it'll just be knit, 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 no stopping, no cutting the yarn, no adding in new yarn, but that's where we're at with that. It also kind of matches my soufflé, so that's exciting. Alright, it's my test knit. I should have learned, honestly, from last year when I did the Soufflé tea test knit. I had a lot of issues with gauge when I did this, and it actually, this finished object ended up way smaller than it should have been because my gauge was so off. And after I did this, I vowed to be better at gauge and understanding gauge, learn a lot more about it, and I really feel like I have, especially since knitting the 6 sweaters over the fall and the winter that are all in my comparison videos. I feel like I really understand gauge a lot better now. The difference is that I was using a completely different fiber with 100% linen yarn that acts completely differently to, wool, superwash merino wool, and I just should have known that it would be a little bit different. One of my goals for the future in general is to work with a lot more blend and natural fiber yarns, so cotton blends, linen blends, stuff like that. And so I really wanted this to be part of that process, but I guess I really just shouldn't have done that for a test knit, because when you're doing a test knit, you really need to make sure you're at or very close to gauge so that you can give proper feedback to the designer. I don't think it would be fair for me to continue being 4 stitches off gauge. As you can see, as I talked about, it really impacts the final measurements, and that's not how this tank top was intended to be, how it's intended to look. It should be closer to, the 0 to -2 inches of ease, and so I really want to make sure that I'm providing that and being a good tester. So that's what's happening. It was kind of sad when I realized that I had to start over, but I have been wanting to try the linen quill, and so I do think this will be, more similar to the yarn that's used in the sample. And I do think this color is going to make a very, very fun spring and summer tank top. It's going to be really bright, as you can see, so it'll be good. And I did not have any like plans for this yarn specifically. I do have thoughts for this color, but it's a little bit different. So it's all good. It'll all work out. Okay, let's move on. I'll show you my Musselburgh, even though I have literally only done one row since the last time I talked about this. This is the Musselburgh / Musselburgh Hat by Ysolda Teague. I've got a bunch of people being mad that I don't pronounce it correctly in my comments, so that was for you. And here we are. That's it. I don't know. I'm really like, this has been good for just like, you know, straight stockinette knitting in the round when I need it. But I've got so many other like whips on the needles right now, like more than I normally do. It's really just, I guess, like two main things now. My test knit and my other one that I'll show you next. So this one hasn't been getting as much work done on it. I'm also just like not really having too much fun with a fingering weight hat. Honestly, I miss my Oslo hats. So when I get this done though, I am interested in making a DK version. I think it'll go much faster. And I want to compare the Musselburgh to the Oslo hat, do another little comparison for you, because I think those are two like basic hats that get recommended a lot, similar to like the basic raglan sweaters that I did, so I just think that would be really fun. So if you have any like classic beginner hat patterns similar to the Oslo hat or the Musselburgh that you see people like recommend frequently, leave a comment down below and I will consider knitting that up as well to add to the comparison. Okay, my last work in progress that I have is this. This is my Provence Sweater by Sorella yarn that I am knitting out of Sorella yarn in her Surrey sock base. It's 100% Surrey alpaca. She has a lace weight and a sock weight in the Surrey, and this is the sock weight, so it's 437 yards per 100 grams. And the colorway that I'm using is called Chateau. This is actually one of the fall tonals, but I thought it would look really good in this for spring. So it's coming out really nicely. I spent a lot of time over the weekend on this, getting all of the increases done. It's a circular yoke, pretty like simple classic sweater. You start with a like provisional cast on here, and at the end we'll pick this up and do an I-cord for the neck. It's gonna have long kind of like balloon sleeves with an I-cord at the edge, and I think there's an I-cord at the bottom of the hem as well. So I've got about, let's see, 40-ish more rows to go. I'm using my row counter to help me count that before I get to the end, or at least where I'll try it on and see if that fits. And I'm really liking it. The Surrey is extremely soft. The pattern does call for you to hold 2 strands of the Surrey lace together, and since this is the Surrey sock, it's technically a fingering weight, which 2 strands of lace weight equals about a fingering weight, so I'm holding this single. And when I like hold it up to the light with like, you know, just 1 strand, you can like kind of see through it a little bit, but I think when wearing it, I don't think it's going to be an issue at all. So it's kind of similar to my Soufflé that I'm wearing, both like fuzzy lace weight patterns. So another thing I wanted to show you on this sweater is it is going so fast. So I have 4 skeins of this yarn. I'm still on the first skein. This is how much I still have left of the first skein. And this is how much I've done so far. This is like half the body, well, over half the body, because I only have like 4 inches left. So I'll definitely be able to finish the body with this, and I'm pretty sure I'll be able to get almost a full sleeve, if not 1 full sleeve out of this. So this project takes very, very little yarn. I thought I was going to be using all 4 skeins of this, and I'm definitely going to have at least 2 left over, probably like 2.5, and I'll just be able to make another Surrey sweater. So if you're looking for something, a full sweater that uses not very much yarn, this is definitely an option. I'm excited for this to be finished. Oh, I'm knitting this as part of the spring make-along that Sorella is hosting. So if you're knitting this as well, or the crochet pattern, let me know, because it's kind of fun. I would love to see it. And what color you're making it in. So that is that. Okay. Those are all of my whips. Told you this was going to be a little bit of a shorter episode. I do have 2 little acquisitions that I want to talk about. So let's start with those. The first is I got some stitch markers. These are from Sassafras Knits. She was having a little sale to help pay for some personal things that were happening in her life, and I love her stitch markers and was very happy to support. I like the hexagon rings. I feel like those are really fun to use on like round circular needles. So I really like these. They're gonna be fun, and now that I've shown them to you, I can put them in my stitch marker bowl to use. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is I won a giveaway. When I knit up my lento, I was participating in the Let's Lento Knit Along by Rebecca from the Creabea and Amy Palco. And I posted my finished object photo, and I won the one of the prizes. There were multiple prizes from the knit along giveaway. So I was so excited. You always want to win the prizes, right? But I feel like you never expect to win the prizes, so it was a big surprise. Came with a card. Thanks for participating. I hope you enjoy. So that was super sweet. And this is what I won. This is 2 skeins of yarn from Ginger Twist Studio in Edinburgh, Scotland. It's called Ginger's hand-dyed Leading Lady Lace, and the colorway is Voyager. So these are 50 gram. It's 72% fine kid mohair and 28% silk. And I just absolutely love this like deep blue turquoise color. There's like so much depth to this. Here's the tag if you want to see it. Here's the logo. But yeah, aren't these gorgeous? So I think this technically could be enough to knit up another lento if I had like a blue like merino yarn to pair it with. So maybe next fall that's what this will end up being. But I love it. Yeah, these colors like couldn't have been more perfect for me, and I am excited to knit them up. They're so gorgeous. I love blues, so yee! I can't believe I won a knit along, like crazy. Alright, so I I think that's it. Like I said, a little bit of a shorter episode today. What is coming up next? So I have some fun ideas for a couple of videos coming up next. I really want to do a video looking at all of my spring knits that I have that I knit up last year and the year before. Looking at them, like almost ranking them, seeing like what I like about them, what I don't like about them, how they're gonna fit into my wardrobe this year or maybe not fit into my wardrobe this year, and talk about some things that I would rather knit instead, kind of similar to the spring knitting plans video that I did. So that I think is coming up next week, so you can get excited for that. In terms of new cast-ons, coming up in May, there are a couple new knit-alongs going on. The Summer Tea Mal is hosted by Juliana at Purl Back Knit Forward, and it's a casual make-along for tees and tank top patterns, so I really want to participate in that. That one goes from May 1st to July 10th. And then there's also a tank top make-along that Nicole from Prof Pearl is hosting. And this one starts on May 1st as well. So I really want to make a tank top out of my Knitting for Olive pure silk that I have sitting back there in, yeah, you know what? I could just grab it and show you. In putty, so I mean not like super exciting, it's just the white, but I do think this like will make a very nice basic tank. So I really want to cast that on, and then I have a couple other like tees that I had talked about in my spring knitting video that I would love to cast on as well. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks I can get these projects off my needles and I can participate in both of these mals with those projects. Yeah, so that's exciting. Let's see. My birthday's coming up this week. That's exciting, but that's really it. I think that's all I have for you today. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch. I hope you enjoyed. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. Leave a comment down below to tell me what you enjoyed about today's video, and as always, hit that like button. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day and you can get some knitting in. I will see you next week. Bye!